Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for students that missed my class during the Wednesday session, you guys are going to be making a plate. Now, this is an example of a very tiny plate. You can see that even though it's this small, it still has a section that kind of lifts up on the edge, just like a regular plate. Now, this is what you're going to be making. Um, you're going to start with a circle. If you have a protractor, this is a lot easier, but for people that don't have protractors, like me, because I left my favorite protractor at school, so for people like you, you're going to go ahead and take some circular objects that you want. Now, this is a finished product based off of this object. I don't want any plate to be any larger than a large man's hand, okay? So this is about the maximum of the size. I also don't want anybody to make something this small. I'd say the smallest that I want to see is maybe the size of a silver dollar. Now you're going to make how many of these? 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Now for you guys, I want to make sure that you have made something that's aesthetically beautiful. So I made a little bit of a drawing, and this is a very crude drawing of Peter Rabbit. Isn't that adorable, right? So this is my drawing that's going to go on to here. Now keep in mind that these are made out of two different parts, so I can't just make it as is. Okay, notice how this part here doesn't line up to there. The reason is when it's buckled up, as it's in that articulated fashion, it lines up nicely. Okay, so you don't want to put everything exactly you see it on a flat piece of paper. You need to design it in a way that it makes sense when it's curled up. So I'm going to go ahead and start by making some of the the technical marks that need to be added onto here so that they line up nicely. Okay. Notice how I'm just using cups and bottles and tapes and anything that I have around the house. And I'm doing that because, well, first of all, I left my protractor at school, but second of all, everybody has something like this. You don't have to not do it because you don't have the right tool. Okay. When I was in college, I loved all the tools that were available at my school. And then I graduated and I couldn't use any of them. And that was very difficult for me. And I want you to be in a position where you don't need tools. Okay. So right here, this will be 90 degrees. I don't want it to be 90 degrees. If I made this 90 degrees, the bowl will be it will be more like a bowl than it would be a plate, right? So this represents approximately 45 degrees. This is about 20, 22, probably, I'm not that accurate, so I'm going to say approximately 20 degrees right there, okay? Now this section right here, this section is going to be underneath this section. So this section, I don't want to have any drawings on that section, right? Otherwise you'll end up something like this, or see how like none of the lines line up, right? The words don't make sense, okay? So, do that now. At this point right here, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. So here's some scissors. I know that I prefer that you guys use X-Acto blades. Well, nobody has X-Acto. Well, I'm sure a lot of you don't have X-Acto blades. So let's just use the things that you have. Most of you have scissors. If you have to, I imagine some of you can sharpen a knife. I'm sure it can cut paper if you sharpen it long enough. Doing a sloppy job, sorry. My hands are pretty shaky today. Every day. Okay, so now that's that. I'm going to cut straight through here. Now I'm able to go ahead and overlap them, giving me that nice shape that I like. I don't want to have that part though, right? So in order to get rid of that part, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Okay, so I don't need this. These two are my trash. I'll use this later. That's gone. Now I have this. Now this is going to be part of my plate right here. This is the outside edge of the plate. Now I have all these drawings on here, so I'm going to use this side as, well, these are my technical drawings, right, of what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to use this side as my clean palette. And this is where all the images are going to go. Right here across this edge, I need to put some darts in. If I don't put some darts in, I need that extra piece of paper so that I can glue the circle to the back. But if I don't put any pleats in here, I'm going to get all these like little wrinkled spots where nothing lines up nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and put some darts in. I'm going to go approximately, well, let's just say less than a half an inch. I don't want to go over a half an inch. If I go over a half an inch, then it's going to start wrinkling on me. So these are called darts. We use these in sewing, which I'm sorry we never got around to, but it was I don't know. I would have loved it. I would have loved to see what you guys would have come up with. Okay, so here's my finished product. Actually, no, this is not my finished product. This is my finished piece. Let me cut it up so that I can go ahead and start gluing it. I'm not quite ready to glue because I have to have the other part also. But I'll go ahead and glue it right now. That's fine. Now that I've glued it, now I don't want to do it like this because then everything's going to show up. I'm going to put it on this side. But before I glue things, I think I want to go ahead and have the pattern transferred over. Because if I don't transfer the pattern over right now, it won't look nice. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little darker so I can see it through the paper. That right there, this right here. Okay, I need a little bit of something right there. Good. So now let me just put this right on top. Okay, this is right here. This right here is right here. And I have the little feet going across right here. And then I have the little bunny ears right here. Okay, now that I have that, this is finished. Waiting glue. I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on this side over here and then overlap it on that side. Okay, so glue. Now, I'm going to put a lot of glue on, but I want you to know that, like, that's not okay, right? So if you put this much glue on, which is fine, it's okay to start that way, but you really want to quickly remove the majority of the glue. The reason is if you don't, your paper is going to start bending and curling on you. The less glue you put on, the less time it's going to take for it to set up too. So we don't want to sit here forever. Let's go ahead and put less glue on. Let's go ahead and hold it. And, you know, if I had a ton of glue on here, it's going to take an hour to dry, right? But if you have a little bit, boom, dries very quickly. Okay. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a little bit. I've already actually pre-measured this, so I know the distance between not the distance between what we cut out, because remember, because we put a little thing in there, now that difference is, it's not the same anymore, right? This is, it's too small for this line and it's too big for that line. So this doesn't work anymore. I already measured it out, and it turns out, for me at least, that the distance between here and here is the same distance as this spray can that I have, okay, like so, okay? So I'm going to use this, the extra piece of material that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and make that circle right here. Nice. Okay. Nothing complicated. Isn't this boring? Watching people cut paper. Oh my goodness. I try to keep my scissors stable as I'm cutting and just rotate the paper around it. I don't know, sometimes I do different things, but this seems to be a better technique than trying to kind of lift my elbow as I'm cutting, which sometimes I do too. But I think this is much more accurate. I don't know, could be wrong. You have to make your own decision. Now, before I glue these two together, I want to make sure that the image is on here. It's hard to draw anything on here once it's attached. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and trace this object right here off of my rough draft that I made, right? And boom, and boom, and boom, and my little bunny rabbit. Let's see here. I think I drew that wrong. Oh, I sure did. Oh well, looking creepy. Oh, little saggy eyes. Maybe he's crying. It's like, oh no. Yep. So a little reference to Peter Rabbit. My mother read my children Peter Rabbit a few weeks ago. They're a little old for that, but I thought it was so sweet for her to kind of try to be part of the kid's life. Here's the silver buttons, right, that Peter Rabbit's mom so carefully put together. No, there were brass buttons, weren't they? They're brass buttons, that's right. Then here we have over here. I don't know why the hands are doing this. It's kind of looking silly, but maybe I should have thought this through a little bit more. I don't know. Okay, so I have that, and then over here, let me look underneath to make sure what I was doing. I'm going to go like this, and over this way, and over this way. If you have a light box, that would be awesome. Or you could just do it right against the window if you need to, right? Okay, so here's my little Peter Rabbit. It looks like, ooh, doesn't look good at all. Looks like some kind of buck-toothed grandpa. I don't know. I don't know. We'll call it what it is. Just a lesson. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold these little louvers up that I created by adding in the darts. This will just make it so that it sits nicer. Hopefully you won't get any kinks in your paper while you're trying to glue the two pieces together. Okay, so here's my little edges. It makes it sit nicely. Now I just need to line these up a little bit and make sure that it looks okay. And so. I don't think it looks great. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, I forgot to put these lines in. This is a little horizon line right here, and maybe add in a little plant right here, right? Maybe I could have put it like a little tree trunk there or something, but whatever. Okay, so you have that. Now, let's take a piece of paper for the background as I put glue across here. Remember, if I use a lot of glue, a ton of glue, it's going to take forever to dry up. So I'm just going to take an X-Acto blade. You guys can use something else, right? Just very carefully, just squeegee the glue off of the paper as you rotate, okay? I'm getting a little bit of glue on the back as I'm doing that. If that happens, your paper is going to glue to the bottom piece, right? So a quick fix for that is to just get a little bit of wax paper, you know, for baking, and put that underneath because the glue doesn't stick that well to the wax paper. I mean, unless you go total gung-ho, but usually it doesn't try to. So I think I went over here twice. That's good. Okay, so if that happens, just put a little bit of wax paper underneath, and that way you don't have to peel it off of the material later. Okay, let's line these things up a little bit. Okay, good, good, good. A little off over here. Hopefully I didn't. Hopefully it's not too late. I think I'm good. Okay, now a little bit of pressure right here to kind of squeegee the excess glue. Oops, that's not good. I got some glue on my hand and I kind of smeared some of that glue across. Okay. Good, good. Okay, now at this time I'm just going to take the circle that I did to cut it out. I'm just going to set it on top of there. Just press it down a little bit. And yeah, that's the end of it. I hope that was pretty simple. I hope that was easy for you guys. I'm going to take this off of here before it glues itself to the paper. Let's see here. There we go. Good. I have a finished product, and you need to make 4 of these, and you're welcome to use paper mache. It will get a little thicker, it'll be a little chunkier, and maybe even a little wonky, but I don't mind that. If you guys are doing paintings or drawings, just kind of plan ahead of your piece, right? Okay. I hope you had fun. Take care. See you next week.